All praise to the Most High, Ahaya, and to his son, Yeshua, the Messiah. Ahla-Hayam. This is Brother Holly here with the second Spirit of Truth broadcast here on the AHAYAH'S channel, as well as the House of Ahaya channel on this set-apart Sabbath day. First and foremost, as always, I give all praise, glory, and honor to the great I am. He is, was, and is to come, the Almighty One. Ahla-Hayam. And to his son, Yeshua, Messiah, who gave himself for us that we might have life, and that life is in him. Ahla-Hayam. Now, in the second broadcast, we're gonna get into a touchy subject, especially during this time. As most of you know, we're entering into the season of the first feast of the biblical calendar, the calendar of Ahaya, found in the book of Jubilees and spoken of in First Enoch. I am not referring to the 354-day calendar of the Jewish people, the people who wish they were Jews. I'm speaking of the biblical calendar found in the scriptures, found in the book of Enoch, and brought out completely and totally and utterly, being a 364-day calendar in the book of Jubilees. Now, some of you of the Hebraic faith don't accept either one of those references. I say you do so to your own detriment. Especially the book of Jubilees is a treasure trove of explanation on some of the things of the Hebraic faith, some very important things to us to include when the feasts are. Basically, our feasts are 10 days after the Jewish feast, according to Jubilees. It says that their calendar, which they use for festivals and feasts, is a calendar that's 10 days short. Their calendar is 354 days. And the biblical calendar is 364 days. That's 52 times 7. Every time you add up 52 times 7, you get 364. There's no such thing as a leap year, the Most High year. There's no such thing as a 365-day year, a 354-day year. No, every year, every time is 364 days. And that's the calendar where festivals and feasts is to be based upon. So it's pretty easy if you know what the Jewish calendar says for a given year. You just slide it to the right 10 days and you right on top. So that puts Passover this year on the 14th of April, which is a Friday of the preparation day. And it's the subject of celebration of Passover, which the second broadcast is all about. There is a whole lot of teachings right now on YouTube and other platforms on how to keep Passover and what to eat and how to prepare, all that. But I'm here because I'm here today talking about this because the great Apostle Paul, whom we all trust, says something in the book of Acts that always rings clear with me. I have not shunned to declare unto you all the counsel of Ahla-Hayam. So when we speak about the entirety of the counsel, there is right in Torah, right in the book of Deuteronomy, prohibition against keeping Passover just any way you want to, or when you want to, or where you want to. It's very clear in Deuteronomy chapter 12, and again, it's talked about in Deuteronomy chapter 14, that you can't keep Passover just any place. And you can't even keep it in the land if you're at war. So suffice it to say that the vast majority of the children of Jacob are still in a scattered state, and we are prohibited from keeping Passover when we are in a scattered state, for we must keep it in the place where the Most High subscribed for us to keep it. You see throughout the scriptures the Messiah returning to Jerusalem to keep Passover, the Apostle Paul in the book of Acts going back to Jerusalem to keep Passover. It is known within the Hebraic faith that Passover is to be kept only one place, and you're prohibited from doing it other places. And we'll read about that prohibition in a moment. Now, I know I'm going to get a bunch of hate mail in the comments on this particular teaching, but As I said a few moments ago, and I'll say it again, I have not shunned to declare unto you all the counsel of Ahla-Hayam. If it's in the book, Brother Holly going to talk about it from the book. And I'm going to agree with the scriptures every time. And we're going to read a little bit from 2 Peter for all those who put in the comment section, well, you're a false prophet if you're not keeping Passover, yada, yada, yada. We're going to read in 2 Peter in chapter 2 and I believe almost into chapter 3, that it's the false prophets that are the ones telling you to do things that are against Torah so they can make merchandise of you. There are people out there right now charging people, dollars to have a Passover meal with them. It's madhouse. It's a madhouse. Why don't we just stick with the scriptures? Shall we? Shall we? What do Yeshua tell us? Man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Ahla-Hayam. Hallelujah. We'll be reading from the Learn Paleo Hebrew Torah, Lashawan Kodash, Holy Tongue version of the AHAYAH'S scriptures. Turn with me to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 12. And let's start reading at verse 5. Let's start reading at verse 3. Deuteronomy 12:3. And ye shall overthrow their altars, and break their pillars, and burn their groves with fire. And ye shall hew down the graven images of their deities, and destroy the names of them out of that place. Now it's talking about when you conquer people, or when you conquer people, especially someone in our land, you tear down a false religion. And I'm here today to tear down some false religion. What are we to do? Let's read. Deuteronomy 12:3. And you shall overthrow their altars, break their pillars, and burn their groves with fire. And ye shall hew down the graven images of their deities, and destroy the names of them out of that place. Boy, I tell you, it's some Constantine Christians getting nervous right now. All praises. Let's go. Ye shall not do so unto Ahayah, your Ahla-Hayam. Verse 4, Deuteronomy 4. See, you don't treat Ahayah's temple the way you do those pagans' temples. You treat Ahayah's temple with reverence and respect. Deuteronomy 12:5. But unto the place which Ahayah your Ahla-Hayam shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither shall you come. We highlight that. He said you're to seek out the place where he placed his name, and you're to go to that place. You're to come to it. And as I pointed out a few moments ago, we see in the Gospels, Yeshua going into the temple in Jerusalem for Passover. We see the Apostle Paul in the book of Acts saying, I am going to Jerusalem for Passover. That's why. Because that was the place where Ahayah chose to place his name. I'll read verse 5 again. But unto the place which Ahayah your Ahla-Hayam shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither shall you come. And thither you shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and your heave offerings of your hand, and your vows, and your freewill offerings, and the firstlings of your herds, and of your flocks. And there you shall eat before Ahayah your Ahla-Hayam, and ye shall rejoice in all that ye put your hand unto, ye and your households, wherewith Ahayah the Ahla-Hayam has blessed thee. We highlight that. Now you were saying, oh, Brother Holly, it's just talking about coming to the temple to do sacrifices. The Passover sacrifice, we're going to read it in a moment that it is. And you eat the Passover sacrifice. That lamb you eat during Passover is considered the Passover sacrifice. And we're going to read that in a moment from Deuteronomy 14. But here in Deuteronomy 12, we're laying the groundwork for why it's important to keep the first things first. The heathens just do what they want. And we're to tear down the heathens' belief system and install the right one which Ahayah has prescribed to us in his word. And what did he tell us? That we to bring all everything they have to do with making sacrifice and offerings to the place where he placed his name. And we know that to be Jerusalem. All praises. I'll read verse 7 again. And there you shall eat before Ahla your Elohim, and you shall rejoice in all that you put your hand unto ye and your households. Therein Ahla your Ahla-Hayam has blessed you. Verse 8, ye shall not do after all these things that we do here this day. Every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. See, you can't make a decision to do what's right in your own eyes concerning concerning sacrifice and free will offering. You can't just do what you see, what you think is okay. I'll read it again. You shall not do after all the things which we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. For you are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which Ahla your Ahla-Hayam giveth you. Will you highlight that? See, you're not supposed to be doing these offerings. You're not supposed to be doing these sacrifices. You're not supposed to be doing your vowing. Just wherever you feel like it. You hadn't come into your rest. You haven't come into your inheritance. Until you do, don't be practicing bringing the sacrifice. Don't be practicing keeping these feasts. Don't be practicing these things. I'll read verse 8 and 9 again. You shall not do after all the things which we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. For you are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which Ahla your Ahla-Hayam giveth you. But when you go over Jordan and dwell in the land which Ahla your Ahla-Hayam gives you to inherit, and when he gives you rest from all your enemies round about, so that you dwell in safety. Verse 11. Then there shall be a place which Ahla your Ahla-Hayam shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Thither you shall bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings, your sacrifices, your tithes, and the heave offering of your hand, and all of your choice vows which you vow unto Ahla. And ye shall rejoice before Ahla your Ahla-Hayam, and you and your sons and your daughters and your men servants and your maid servants and the Levi that is within your gates, for as much as he has no part nor inheritance with you. We highlight all that. Until you cross Jordan and go back into the land sworn to be given to us by our forefathers. Sworn it by covenant. Till we back in the covenant land. Then we do the sacrifices. Because that's where the Most High chose to place his name. He didn't place his name here in America. He didn't place his name in Great Britain. He didn't place his name in the islands. He didn't place his name in Canada. He didn't place his name in China. He didn't place his name in Africa. He placed his name in Jerusalem. That was the place he chose to place his name. And that's the place of sacrifice. That's the place of keeping the vows. That's the place of keeping this feast, in particular the feast of Passover. I'll read it again. Deuteronomy 12:10. But when you go over Jordan and dwell in the land which Ahla your Ahla-Hayam gives you to inherit, and when he giveth you rest from all your enemies round about, so that you dwell in safety. See, if you're at war, there's no expectation for you to be keeping feast. None whatsoever. If you're under attack, there ain't no expectation for you to keep feast. None whatsoever. You're not even going to be thinking about keeping feast when you're at war. But when you're at peace, when you're dwelling safely in your own land, then there shall be a place which Ahla your Ahla-Hayam, verse 11, shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Thither shall you bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings, your sacrifices, your tithes, and the heave offering of your hand, and all your choice vows which you vow unto Ahla. And ye shall rejoice before Ahla your Ahla-Hayam, you and your sons and your daughters, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the Levite that is within your gates, for as much as he have no part nor inheritance with you. Take heed to yourselves, verse 13, Deuteronomy 12:13. Take heed to yourselves that thou offer not thy burnt offerings in every place that you see. You highlight that. The Passover is offering made by fire. You're supposed to roast that lamb, aren't you? And we're going to read in Deuteronomy 14 in a moment that the Passover is a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice you eat. We're going to read that. Why do I keep emphasizing that? Because I know what people do. I read the prohibition from the scripture. Anybody read the prohibition from the scripture, and you start looking for a loophole. Well, I'm not actually sacrificing. I'm celebrating. No, it's called sacrifice in the scriptures. The Passover is a sacrifice in the scriptures. And used to see to it that you don't do it in every place that you see. I'll read that again. Deuteronomy 12:13. Take heed to thyself, that thou offer not thy burnt offerings in every place that thou seest, but in the place which Ahayah shall choose one of thy tribes, there thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, and there thou shalt do all that I command you. Will you highlight all that? It's explicit, children. It's only one place where these things can be done. One place. And it's not at your assembly hall. And it's not at the banquet hall. No, it's one place. The place where Ahai chose to place his name. All praises. Let's go over to Deuteronomy chapter 14. Short flip. Oh, I'm sorry. Chapter 16. Thank you for your patience. Deuteronomy 16. Let's start reading verse 1. It says, observe the month of Abib, to keep the Passover unto Ahayah your Ahla-Hayam. For in the month of Abib, Ahayah thy Ahla-Hayam brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. Verse 2. Thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover. Remember I told you the Passover is considered a sacrifice? I'll read it one more time. Thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover unto Ahayah thy Ahla-Hayam of the flock of the herd in the place which Ahayah shall choose to place his name there. Here we go again. Now we saw in Deuteronomy chapter 12, you just couldn't do it anywhere. You had to do it. You had to wait till you get in your own land. You had to wait until you were at peace. You had to wait. You just couldn't do it right in your own eyes. What you see to do. He even said you can't do what's right in your own eyes. And here it's saying that you got to eat the sacrifice, or you got to do the sacrifice in the place where Ahayah chose to place his name. And we know where that is. That's Jerusalem. All praises. I'll read verse 2 again. Thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover unto Ahayah your Ahla-Hayam of the flock and the herd in the place which Ahayah shall choose to place his name there. Thou shalt not eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction. For thou came forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day when thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt, all the days of thy life. We're to remember the Passover. The Passover is huge in the Hebraic faith. We're to remember this all the days of our life. But we're prohibited from eating the Passover, from doing the Passover sacrifice. anywhere but where the place where the Most High set His name. We're to eat unleavened bread for 7 days. That's the bread of affliction. That's how we remember. Let's continue. Deuteronomy 16:4. And there shall be no leavened bread seen with thee in all thy coasts 7 days. Neither shall there anything of the flesh which thou sacrifices the first day at even. There is again the Passover meal. The Passover lamb is referred to as a sacrifice. For all those that say, oh, I'm not sacrificing. Well, according to the scriptures, y'all. I'll read it again. And there shall be no leavened bread seen with thee in all thy coasts 7 days. Neither shall there anything of the flesh which thou sacrificest the first day at even remain all night until the morning. That's right, you have to eat the Passover lamb. You have to have all of it eaten up before the sunrise. You can't leave nothing of it. All praises. Verse 5, this is key. Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which Ahla-Hayam giveth thee. You can't just do it at your house. You can't just do it any place. This is direct quote from Torah saying you can't do the Passover just any place. I'll read it one more time. Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of your gates, which Ahla-Hayam giveth thee. But at the place, verse 6, Deuteronomy 16:6. But at the place which Ahla-Hayam shall choose to place his name in, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at even, at the going down of the sun, at the season that thou came forth out of Egypt. The highlight. Oh, Brother Holly, don't you think it's okay? I mean, we just trying to honor the Most High. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to do what's right in your own eyes. You're trying not to follow Torah. That's what you're trying to do. And you're trying to sound spiritual when you do it. What said the scripture? As Messiah asked the Pharisees, how you read? Now, I'm not being curt with you because I'm mad at you or I'm just trying to, one-up you. No, got nothing to do with it. I'm being curt with you to get past your rebellious resistance to keeping Torah. What did Yeshua tell us? You, man, should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Allah. Every word. Let's read every word. Deuteronomy 16:5. Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which Ahla-Hayam giveth thee. You can't do it just any place. Where can you do it, Brother Holly? But at the place which Ahla-Hayam shall choose to place his name in, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at even, at the going down of the sun, for all those who have a problem determining when even begins. At the season that thou came forth out of Egypt. You can't just do it any month. You got to do it in the month of Abib. First month of the Hebraic year. Oh, praises. Let's go. And you got to do it on the right day. At the right place. At the right time. There's order to these things, man. I ain't the author of confusion, but of order, peace, and all their assemblies. Verse 7. Thou shalt roast and eat it in the place which Ahla-Hayam shall choose, and thou shalt turn in the morning and go into thy tents. 6 days, verse 8. 6 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day shall be a solemn assembly to Ahla-Hayam, and thou shalt do no work therein. Highlight that. So after Passover, For 6 straight days, you eat unleavened bread. Get all the leaven out your house. All your pancake mix gotta go. All your pancake mix gotta go. And it don't fail, children. Every time I do one of these broadcasts, there's an attack. The technology attacked me. But we're just going to keep going. Oh, praises! So let's review. Oh, I did promise you a verse from 2 Peter. For all those who say, anybody we talking about not keeping Passover because we're not in the land, they are a false prophet. Let's see. Let's see. And here's why I was prompted to use this verse in 2 Peter. Because there are people out there making money on this. They're charging you a fee to come to this Passover Seder, this Passover meal, it's big party, blah, blah, blah. But we just read you ain't supposed to be doing it. Except in the land that was given unto our forefathers through covenant. You're not supposed to be doing it in the land if you're at war. Or if you're not at peace. And you're not just supposed to do it anywhere in the land, but you got to do it in the place where Ahai chose to place his name. That would be Jerusalem. And when you finish eating it, the next morning, then you go home. We just read that in Deuteronomy 16. Turn me. We're not going back to Deuteronomy. We're going to read this from 2 Peter, and we're going to close. And thank you for your patience. All praises to all those who are going to throw a rock at me. Say I'm a false prophet. Let's see who the false prophets are. See who the false teachers are. For all those who claim, Brother Ahla is going crazy. He teaches us false. Okay, let's see. 2 Peter chapter 2. Let's start reading. 2 Peter chapter 2. Let's start reading at verse 1. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privately shall bring in damnable heresies. That's damnable false teachings. Even denying the master that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. You highlight? And many, not few. What's it say here? And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. So someone reading from the Torah, and we know the Torah is the truth. The Torah is the truth. We know that from Psalms 119. The way of truth be evil spoken of. Oh, no, we do what we want. We're going to do what's right in our own eyes. Even though it's said for you not to do what's right in your own eyes, it's said for you to be careful to obey this. Be careful not to eat the Passover any place within your gates. You shall not do that. That's the way of truth. And how is the way of truth going to be looked at? Let's read. 2 Peter 2:2. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with feigned words. What's feigned words? Vain, false words. Feigned words make merchandise of you. They're making merchandise of you. They're charging you a fee. I've said it before and I'll say it again, children. These rebukes are free of charge here at AHAYAH'S house and House of Ahai. Absolutely free of charge. I will never ask you for a dime. Ever. I am well supplied. Thank all praises and thanksgiving unto Ahaya for it. These rebukes are free. Not to those jokers making merchandise of you. Not the ones setting up a Passover Seder for you. Not the ones charging you $50 a head to go in there doing something you ain't supposed to be doing. Second Peter chapter 2 verse 3. And through covetousness they shall with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment not for of a long time lingereth not. Their judgment's coming. And their damnation slumbers not. Their damnation wide awake. Wow. So let's review. When is Passover? It's in the month of Abib. It's 10 days after the Jewish people say it is. That's the easiest way to know, according to the word of truth found in the book of Jubilees that talks about the Jewish calendar and the calendar of Ahaya. They're going to do everything 10 days early. So they say it's the 5th. It's really the 14th. But can we celebrate Passover here in the land of captivity? Here in our enemy's land? Absolutely not. We can only celebrate the Passover sacrifice at a place where Ahaya has set his name. He ain't set his name in the place I'm at. I know that for a fact. His name ain't been set here in in Central Florida, nor in North America. Period. His name was set in Jerusalem. All praises. That's the only place we can celebrate Passover. And Passover is indeed a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice for us to eat with unleavened bread, the bread of haste, the bread of affliction. And we're to eat all of it before the sunrise. And when it's over, and when we're in our own land, the land we promised our forefathers, when we're in our own land, and we're at peace, none making us afraid, then we can eat the Passover with joy. And when it's over, return unto our tents. All praise to the Most High, Ahaya, and to his son, Yahshua, the Messiah. Ahla-Hayam.